Whispers of a sequel to John Carpenter's iconic 1982 horror film The Thing have fans of the original excited. But if a sequel is to be successful, it needs to avoid one of the most common horror movie sequel problems. In this video, I want us to talk about these whispers and what they need to avoid in a potential sequel. But before Kurt Russell comes at me with guns and fire, I'd like to say hello guys and gals, I'm Nick, and welcome to 30's Feedback. So, the paranoia that pervades the original is what made it a horror classic in the first place, and its legacy is unmistakable in American pop culture. The massively popular online multiplayer game Among Us essentially replicates the core concept, and countless movies and television shows have borrowed elements from the movie, most notably the fear born of distrust and paranoia. While the 2011 prequel, also titled The Thing, was a box office bomb and critical failure, it preserved the original idea of a lone extraterrestrial being able to assimilate and imitate any life form. That is where the true terror lies in The Thing. Anyone and anything can be a parasitic alien. If a sequel to John Carpenter's original The Thing movie is going to be a success both at the box office and with critics and fans alike, it needs to cling to that core concept while also avoiding one of the most used horror movie sequel tropes. Often in horror movies, a sequel will attempt to raise the stakes by introducing multiple versions of the original movie monster or alien, like in Aliens and Predators. While that concept can work as a means of increasing the danger for some franchises, the idea doesn't work for The Thing. What makes The Thing so terrifying is specifically the fact that there is only one of it and that nobody knows who it is. In the case of Aliens and Predators, increasing the amount of creatures also increases the action, which is enhancing what made the original movies great. Introducing more creatures means introducing more weapons and more fight scenes, which is part of what made Aliens such a successful sequel. It was a truly great action movie while maintaining its horror elements. The Thing, on the other hand, builds dread and paranoia, creating a slow burn that makes the body horror reveals of the creature that much more impactful. The scariest ability of The Thing is infiltration and assimilation, and if a movie introduces more than one thing into the mix, it destroys that concept. The tension of The Thing is created by knowing only one person in the room can be the alien at a time, and that it is nearly impossible to tell who it is just by looking at it. If there are multiple things, then the tension is all but gone. The movie's plot becomes the protagonist against a bunch of aliens, and the notions of distrust and paranoia disappear. The protagonist simply has no reason to trust anyone and would benefit from simply killing everyone else, since many of them are likely aliens. Introducing multiple things further ruins the fear, because with more than one thing in the mix, the protagonist stands very little chance. The Thing does its best to assimilate other organizations in hiding so as not to reveal itself to the group. If there are multiple things, there is no reason to hide. They can simply overpower anyone they encounter. The Thing is certainly deserving of a sequel, especially if John Carpenter is at the helm, but if it's going to be a success, it needs to hold true to the original movie's premise and ensure that there is only one thing for the heroes to contend with. But Nick, what about those whispers? You said about those whispers. Okay, here it is. Speaking at Texas Frightmare Weekend via Creepy Catalog, Carpenter teased that a direct sequel to The Thing could still happen. When a fan asked Carpenter to weigh in on the film's ambiguous ending regarding which of the surviving characters is the alien creature, he said that the true answer could be revealed in a potential follow-up. Here's what Carpenter said. I have been sworn to secrecy, okay? Because there may be, I don't know if there will be, there may be a Thing 2. What do you guys think? Would you welcome a direct sequel to The Thing? And how would you feel if they introduced multiple alien creatures? Let me know below.